Man's best friend is not the kiwi's best friend. Dogs are a huge problem for our national bird. The kiwi's strong and distinctive smell is like a magnet to a dog nose, which is designed to pick up scent. One dog, left to roam, can wipe out a whole population of kiwi. It's a sad story that kiwi workers have heard so many times.
Dogs are a major problem for kiwi because they kill adult birds, and adult birds obviously are part of the breeding population. And so in a place like Northland, we find that kiwi live there on average only 13 years, whereas in other parts of the country where there are a few dogs, they can live for 50 years. And so in Northland, they've only surviving for about a quarter of the time that they could be surviving if they didn't have dogs attacking them.
Some areas, people used to hear kiwi every night, but since the neighbour's dog began making nightly trips into the bush, they no longer hear them.
Any kind of dog, if given the opportunity, has a potential to kill kiwi. Some dog owners may not realise that there are kiwi living around them. Others don't recognise their dog as actually a predator, and even if they do, they just think their dog's off hunting rabbits or possums and don't realise that potentially they could be hunting kiwi.
Even people who don't get involved in a community kiwi project can still make a huge contribution to kiwi's survival by keeping their dog under control all the time. The very safest option if you live in an area where kiwi live is to not have a dog at all, or to stop your dog ever going into the bush by tying it up. If you are lucky to live somewhere where kiwi can wander around your house and you have a dog, it is vital that you control it to make sure it never meets a kiwi. You could build a fence to keep kiwi out and dogs in, or you could make sure your dog is tied up every night in an enclosure that kiwi can't get into, or kept indoors with you. And you can train your dog to be less attracted to kiwi.
Basic obedience of the dog as a pup is probably the most important thing, and as the dog's growing up, just control of the dog, general control. And on top of that, then you could put kiwi aversion training. What we want is the first time a dog is exposed to a kiwi, that it gets a negative result from it, or a negative impulse. So when Charlie goes and sniffs the dead kiwi that we have, or and also some fresh kiwi shit, that when he picks that scent up first time, he'll get a zap. It's a small zap, quick zap. He'll be shy of it, and that's the process we use. We do that every 6 months to keep the dog, normally hunting dogs, just refreshed, and that's kiwi aversion.
That's all we need, mate. That's it. Right. And how long? It was like over a year and a half?
The dog owners need to be aware that this isn't the silver bullet, that this needs to be in conjunction with that dog control and the obedience that we talked about earlier.
Hunters who use dogs can greatly reduce the threat their animals pose to kiwi by making sure their hunting dogs are well trained and target specific.
When I'm out pigging, I'm often in places in pine forests, exotic forests where kiwi inhabit the same areas as pigs, so I make sure I do as much as I can to keep them away from the birds. They start off with avian aversion work. We use tracking collars so we don't lose them and leave them behind after our day's hunting. We try to stay out of the bush at night when the kiwis are more active. The other important thing I feel is to give your dogs plenty of work, not just one day here and there. Keep them stimulated in what they do, and it tends to keep them from eyeing up other targets. I try to keep the dogs in as much as I can until we actually get onto a fresh scent, and then let the dogs work that out. That way they're not just running away willy-nilly.
You can also help stop dogs killing kiwi by trapping and handing in any wandering dogs to the local district council dog ranger, talking about pet care and control with your neighbours, encouraging councils to apply no pet clauses to subdivisions, and taking unwanted pets to the SPCA. If you find an injured kiwi, it will need immediate treatment, so take it to a vet as soon as possible.
If you find a kiwi that's been attacked by a dog, or you think may have been attacked by a dog, then it's best to get it straight away to a vet, because when a dog bites, it can get infections in the bites, because dogs' saliva has lots of nasty goobies in it. So it's best to get it to a vet so the vet can clean up the wounds and get the kiwi back to health.
BNZ Save the Kiwi has resources available to help you deliver the dog safety message, including stickers, brochures, Kiwi information, and Kiwi Zone signs. For more ideas on dealing with dogs, have a look at the Guidebook to Kiwi Advocacy, also available on the BNZ Save the Kiwi website.